Well, I've had some fantastic feedback, ideas and thoughts around this goodyard back wall, whether to put the buildings there or not. I've got to be honest, I'm still undecided. 1 minute I think definitely the buildings should be there for a bit of depth, but then I think I could get more activity in front of it if they weren't there. So I am undecided. So what I think I'm going to do for now is I'm going to concentrate on the road area in front, get that down first now, and then that might give me a better idea of what other bits I could put in front there. Now I did mention last week that I was going to probably use these cobblestones, but then I decided against it, partly because the small sheets I would need a lot. They're very difficult to cut these to get a realistic neat edge, which I'll probably have to do a bit of shaping around those buildings if they were there. So before I commit, I'm just going to have a look at some other different surfaces, see if I can come up with something different. Right, road surfaces for this goodyard. You're probably going to have to bear with me on this one, but I've been trying to decide what to do. I probably saw in an early video I thought about some cobblestones, and I was going to look at putting some buff coloured ballast down and weather it up and dirty it. Then I just thought I might try something else. If it don't work, it don't work. But I've got this. I've just been and filled this. This is it's ready to use sand and cement. So all you do is add water to it. I bought this a couple of years ago just to do some patching on the jointing on the patio slabs. It's been in the garage, but it's in a really good like thick polythene bag and it hadn't dried out. So I thought about, do I mix a little bit up and try and spread it? But then I've seen about people when they're doing concrete, you do a dry mix where they spread it and then they just use fine water to soak it through. So I'm just wondering whether that'll work. So I've just made a mock-up of a baseboard with some cork on, and I've just stuck 2 pieces of 2mm plastic card down with double-sided tape. So I'm going to try and carefully spread it in there, just so you get an neat edge, and then I'm going to do this bit rough, because obviously in the goodyard it'd have one rough edge up towards where that small embankment is. So if it don't work, it don't work, but I want to just try it, see how we get on. So the first thing I'm going to do is just attempt to spread some in here, and that's rather a lot. I suppose it doesn't want to be mega neat, does it, with it being an old just goodyard entrance. So maybe something like that. Right, so that gives me 2 little areas to test. So one I've flattened out. I know it's got lumps and bumps in, but that's probably could be a good thing. And then that one, obviously I've rushed that. I'll probably spend more time if I was going to do it loose. But let's see how we get on with that. Now when you see this being done outdoors, when they're doing concrete forms, obviously they have to keep going back and spraying it to let the water gradually soak through. But that's probably when they're doing a good 6 inch or so footing. I mean, this is 2mm, so I'm hoping it won't take too much water. So I'll use my sprayer that I use for my ballasting, and we'll just give it a bit of a soak. I don't know how long this is going to take to dry, or how much to put on actually, but I'll keep going. Right, I suppose all that's left to do now is to leave that to dry. So I've left it overnight. I don't know if that shows. It seems to have dried. It shrunk down a little bit, which I guess it would do. Feels quite I just wonder how easy now these edges are going to come off, because I do need a straight edge. Whether I just try. My worry is if it's stuck to it, which I've got a feeling it has. Yeah, it's crumbled away a bit there, look. It is a bit crumbly underneath, so I wonder whether it hasn't soaked through all the way. But the freehand one seems to be alright. I wonder if there's something I could do with that. Or even mix it up first and then try and... I don't think double-sided tape's the way forward. It's too strong. I have to think of something else. But I don't know whether if I mix it first and then spread it as if you were like, I don't know, bricklaying, plastering. But the other thing I'm just thinking there, because that comes away too easy, is it worth putting a layer of PVA down and then putting the stuff on top so it's got something to adhere to? I don't know. It was an experiment. Probably have to rethink that. Right, not one for being beaten. I've cleared all this off, cleaned it off. What I'm going to do is coat it with PVA. Whether it'll just give it a good key. I don't think it adhered to the cork, some of it, but when I scraped it all off, it went back to its natural powder form, so it makes me think that it did need mixing to agitate the reaction. I sound like I know what I'm on about, but clearly I don't. But anyway, I'm going to just cover some PVA on there. I'm going to pop these back down. Hopefully these might peel off PVA. I've made up a mix. I've got no idea of consistency, what it should look like. Probably looks a bit runny if anything, that. But let's have a go. Yeah, I think I've probably got that far too runny. Looks like a mud pie. Right, I'll just leave that, see what happens. I bet far too much, but hey ho. Well, I've just come up next day to have a look at this ready mixed mortar. That was the one we did, which I made it far too runny. And I think as it's dried out, it's got air bubbles, God knows what, I don't know how good it looks. But what I did with the bit I had left over, I just thickened it up and then just laid it loose. It's dried, I mean that's a couple of mil thick. And then I've just used, this is the little tub I wash all my brushes in, so that's all the murky water in the bottom. I've just brushed over it with that, so I don't know, from a distance, does that look an alright surface maybe? I guess the thing is with this stuff, there's no flex in it, so if I was doing a long row, my worry is if there's any slight movement on the board or anything, it'll crack. But then I suppose roads do crack, so I don't know. I don't know if I'm wasting my time here or there could be some mileage in it. Right, after wasting a couple of days, I'm definitely scrapping this idea. That one is really solid, but the finish is terrible. It's gone shiny, well that's because there was PVA down. I know you could paint it and matte it down. This other one, it's just gone crumbly, so bit of a waste of time really, but you don't know until you try, so that's definitely one for the bin. I'll not waste my time doing that again. What I have seen, I'm going back to the cobblestone idea. There's some textured sheets of cobblestone you can get, and they're a bit bigger than those little Wills kits. So I've ordered some of those just to see what they're going to be like, and then once they're arrived, I'm going to try and get them down. So while I'm waiting for that, I think I'm going to focus a little bit on the wall around the brewery and start getting some bits put together for that. I'm just looking at some fencing now across here, so I'll put a small bit that side as well, and then think about at some point maybe a gate so it could be closed off. I'll bring it round, there'll be some more here. When I'm just looking at this section here with this point, wrong way. Obviously that's just a medium radius left hand point. Somebody did suggest, wouldn't a curved point have looked better in there, because that's a nice smooth, but then this comes round straight and then curves again. I've always shied away from curved points purely because of the reviews I read about them and the trouble people have, but the more I look at those, I think they relate to set track predominantly, and particularly Hornby curved points. So I have got a Pico, an Electrofrog one, which I use a large radius one, which may go in there. I've just got to be sure that this curve just looks right, but then I suppose it just probably looks a bit nicer there for this track. So I'll have a look at that, decide whether I'm going to put it in there or not. And if you can see from that angle, probably the track work just does probably look a little bit odd with that small straight bit where the main part of the point is. So if I were to add that roughly there somewhere, probably just make it look a bit smoother. So I've just ballasted and soaked the point, and then the track work just down here into where this tunnel will be. It's probably a bit sooner than one I've liked to actually ballast that point. It's only had one day of running, but everything seems to be okay. So touch wood, we'll be fine with that. I just needed it doing so I could get the rest of the fencing in and get this area cordoned off for the brewery yard. I've also had these arrive today, just some sheets of random cobblestone. Now it is textured, it's embossed, so you can feel it, although it's very hard to pick up. One thing I have noticed though, there's quite a sheen on these, look very shiny, so I think what I'm going to do is cut a slither off one and just have a go at maybe matte spraying it first and then just toning it down with some weathering powder to see if it looks any good, because it won't look right like that, that is for sure. So I'll have a play around with that and see if I can come up with anything better. Right, that's before and after. It's toned the colour down, but for some bizarre reason it's gone even more shiny, and that's with a matte lacquer sprayed on there. So that really ain't going to look right, is it? A glossy road surface, road surface. So back to the drawing board. If anybody's got any ideas how I could get rid of this shine, tone it down, I'd love to hear, because I thought the matte clear spray would have done it. It does on all the brick paper that I use on the buildings, but for some reason, not on this. You almost need your sunglasses on. It's that shiny, that. So I'm going to leave it. I'm going to, I think, do some work now on the brewery walls to try and get the basic shape that I want. I'm not going to rush this road and this surfaces because I want it to look right, because I'm quite liking how this goodyard's starting to look, so I don't want to mess it up with some naff road surface. So I'll leave that and come back to it at a later date.